Go back to your original setup, and I guess that's what we're gonna do. I'm not too worried. People will know what's up.
Okay. I hear the music. Good.
Let me see.
Oh, I hear myself double though.
You gotta mute the video there. All right, so just to give you a heads up, I don't know if the lag is gonna fix itself, but the video is slightly behind. So we'll talk and we should be good. But I think the stream is matched with it. All right. Let's give it our best. All right.
And let's hope everything goes.
And we are officially ready to start.
All right.
I am Jacob Coffey. It's nice to have you all here. We're going to be doing some Assassin's Creed Valhalla today. We're going to talk about Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, in-game stuff. Sorry if there are some minor spoilers here in this game. Based on the gaming locales, if you have not played it to this point, I do apologize. I'm not going to try and talk too much about major plot points. Beyond that, I hope you enjoy what we have to show you today.
But yeah, hi everyone. I hope everyone can hear us. There may be a little lag, but that's okay. We'll deal with that. I am Amit, aka Kate Miniti. I am a PhD candidate at the University of British Columbia, so that we know who I am. And yeah, we're going to just go around and discuss Norse mythology, archaeological stuff, archaeological looting somehow to keep up with the theme of the conference, and just talk about how historically accurate or not as much this game is. Big disclaimer, neither of us is an expert in Norse mythology or Norse archaeology, but we like it a lot.
We do. All right, so we're going to start off the game in Ravensthorpe. It's the settlement that you build up in the game following your exit from Norway. The game takes place, what year are we in again?
We're in the 870s CE. Britain, well, England is not a unified country at this time. There are several kingdoms fighting for dominance. Not all of them are Christians. Actually, one of them is a Viking kingdom, and we follow a clan of Norsemen that go from Norway to England to settle. Ravensthorpe actually exists. I think the developers said that they chose the name and then they realized that it actually exists in real life. But yeah, so the general gist is, the issues that you find with settling and finding a new spot and fighting for space and all of that. And big spoiler alert, we will not see any horns on helmets. Not a thing. But we will pet cats and dogs.
I did pet a cat. I hope everyone saw me pet the cat.
I've seen people,
I have a tattooed pig. Does that count? A tattooed pig?
Yeah, that also counts, yeah.
Right, fair enough. A pig with a scallion on the side. What do we have? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show some... Let's start off with attire.
Yeah.
This is the base outfit you're going to be seeing when you're playing the game. You upgrade it throughout the game, but this is the Raven Clan armor.
Mm-hmm. Historically accurate? Probably not.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
I have Thor's helm too, so this is the closest you're going to get to horns, guys.
Yeah, so shoulder pads, not really a thing. Also in this game, they seem to have like a lot of leather, when actually like in the early Middle Ages where we are now, the main go-to was like chainmail. If you can afford it, you can get it. Or, surprisingly enough, if you have to avoid arrows and other things, you can have linen, which is actually good enough to stop some things. But no, they decided to go, for the leather and for the black, which was not a particularly Viking color. Vikings were known for having garish, flamboyant outfits and pants, especially striped pants.
Even the Thrall's
And
outfit doesn't do it justice.
yeah, no, the thralls. Yeah,
The closest to a commoner outfit you're going to get. And then we're going to beef it
fair.
up and we're going to go ahead and put on some Thor gear.
Yeah, that is fair. So the tattoos are probably the most accurate thing about the whole outfit, I have to say.
This is a warning on outfit choice here. Sorry about that, everyone. But we're going to explore the tattoos here really quick.
Yeah, we're starting, showing off. But yeah, so we know that like Vikings, well, Norsemen, because actually Viking is a job, so we should not refer to these people as Vikings, but Norsemen would ink their skins pretty often. And not only that,
like when tattoo selection in this game as well, so you can choose your attire and outfit and tattoos.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about the underwear, but we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah,
but yeah, so tattoos are actually like a very ancient art. Like we have mummies from like ancient Egypt that are tattooed. So don't think that it's like a European invention or like a white people invention or anything of the sort. So that is one tidbit for it. Also, all this gold or this woven gold, it is rich that we see all these beautiful outfits in Ravensthorpe and no one is using the loom. We see plenty of looms in British settlements, but not in Ravensthorpe. Who's making these clothes? What is going on? Looming was actually one of the main occupations that people would perform when at peace. And we should also mention that Vikings was not an all year round occupation. You would just be a farmer, a fisherman, or you have it, whatever, during the winter, and then in spring or summer you want to make some money, you want to do something, you go a Viking. So you go and do whatever and then come back and go back to your farm and other things. So when people refer to these people as Vikings, like the main idea that the public gets is that, oh, these are like all rugged and, warriors that know nothing, anything else but violence in their lives, when actually, no, like a farmer could pick up an axe and just go a Viking and then come back.
Just like that.
Sorry, I'm vomiting information here, but I thought it was a good point to make.
All right, I just got this one. I didn't actually even know this one existed till just now. It's pretty nice. I kind of like it. Doesn't cover the whole hand, though. The back, I will feature a nice little jump in because we do have a lot of viewers right now who are from the online community of the Assassin's Creed Sisterhood. There is a nice tattoo that they included in the game, more or less to make a point, because there has been a lot of talk at Ubisoft recently with sexism from higher up positions and from lower positions. The Sisterhood does not want to minimize the stories of women in historical scenarios. So yes, we do have the quote unquote correct tattoo on Eivor's back. All right, let's get back out.
Tattoo that feels more correct, but like feel free to to get some more historically accurate.
The beauty is that you can choose whatever tattoo you want.
That is fair.
All right, where do you want to go?
It's fair. So
here to the quote unquote collector. We're gonna use a lot of
please. Yes, please. So a good part of this game is spent, a good part, like some part of this game is spent collecting Roman artifacts for this curious fellow, as Valka calls him, who is a Roman enthusiast, a Roman fanboy. Can we call it a fanboy?
I guess we can call it a fanboy.
Yeah, he's a fanboy. Who calls himself Octavius.
Look at this. This is fanboyness.
Yeah, and he just collects Roman artifacts. And he sends Eivor to collect these masks in Roman ruins. Now, from this game, you get the impression that Britain was filled with Roman ruins. That would have been true up to a certain point in history. The Romans did not settle the whole of Britain, and they certainly did not leave as many amphitheaters as we see here. And in the 800s, in 870s, most Roman buildings would have been either in decay or, as people do, reused for stone, or for, to build other things. It is interesting, though, that you can see, if you can see in the corner, those are like Roman tombstones. with actual inscriptions, with actual funerary inscriptions. And there are like many of those in like all sort of in every museum in Britain. The
Got a lot
one
of
thing,
interesting stuff in here too.
yeah. The one thing I beef with is that the statues are not colored. You know, I mean, yes, if we want to take suspension of disbelief, these statues have lost the original colors. Roman statues would have been absolutely garish and, like kitsch by our standards, very, very colorful, like we see in Odyssey, for instance.
Yeah, it's really hysterical how they kind of chose it to be like if these statues were found today or something.
Yeah, exactly.
They took a lot of damage.
Yeah, also most of these are copies of statues that would have probably not been in Britain. Like, why would a statue of Alexander be up there?
Definitely not.
Right, and made of marble or stone. Like, marble is expensive, marble is heavy. But or like the statue of Apollo from Cyrene. Like, I've beef with that. And also, like, most temples would not have been up. The thing that I think we should show, if we talk about Roman ruins, is the Mithraeum in London.
You want to head there?
Yeah, if you can. I think we dropped like a pin there.
Yeah, we did right here. So let's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take a second to get there. So let's arrive on the dock. It's probably the fastest place I can get there from.
That's all good. Yeah. London, by the way, founded. The first nucleus built by the Romans and it was like a fort. Which is why like one part of the city center is on a grid and then the rest is a whole mess.
Welcome to London.
Welcome to London. It looks foggy, as it should be.
Yeah, as it should be.
As it should be. So we are going in a location that actually exists in real life, and if you're around in the UK, you can go visit. Well, maybe not now with COVID, but in general, you can go visit it. And it is an underground temple to Mithras.
Ignore my foolishness of stepping on fire.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's fine. Eivor is a big burly Viking, so she can take some fire.
It is interesting. While we're walking, I'm going to share that point very briefly. So as a Ubisoft point, the game was highly marketed as a male protagonist, as Eivor being male.
Thank you.
First trailer was male. The writers and the directors of the game and the designers actually created Eivor as a female character. And if you play the game, it is a spoiler alert. The game does refer to the historical 9th century being as being a female character. There's an entire explanation that I don't want to spoil too much for. I'm gonna have to fight some guys if I want to explore this place, so you're gonna have to bear with me really quick.
Oh yeah, we're good with fighting. I mean, this is not a PG-13 streaming.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little R here. Sorry for the headshots.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. But we like the headshots.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah, there we go. So
the entire area of London is mostly in ruins because they've built around pre-existing structures.
Yeah, exactly. There's the giant aqueduct. That is cool though. There are like pieces of the aqueduct still intact. Pieces of the temples. Okay, another beef. All the capitals that you see in these Roman temples are Doric, and I am outraged as an archaeologist because the Romans would have used Corinthian capitals, right? Not Doric. Like, these are not archaic Greeks building a temple in Sicily. These are Romans. They use Corinthian capitals, but or composite capitals, or Ionic if they want to be fancy. Not Doric. We're not in Metaponto. Anyways, we will get to the dead clergy. Someone in the chat is asking, there were never actors in Roman Britain though. There may have been some. To be honest, I'm not a Roman archaeologist. But the fastest way to bring water to some place, if you don't want to build something, is pipes. So you would be surprised to learn that like pipes are much more ancient than aqueducts themselves. You can build pipes and sewage, and like you can build it with terracotta. So you don't need to know the art. You don't need to know how to put stones up. You just need a hole in the ground, and then you put the pipes, and you're good. Here we are. This is.
Hold on. Let me try to move around here.
Yeah, this is beautiful. If you could show like the room as it is. So
show the whole room.
Yeah. Oh, I see this. So
I'm gonna utilize the camera mode here.
The underground chamber is the actual reconstruction of what was a real place in London. And this would be the congregation point for the cult of Mithras. The cult of Mithras, which is this guy who's killing the bull, was a cult that was very widespread in the army. And soldiers from all over the Roman world would become members of this cult that was male only, soldiers only. And it was a mystery cult, mystery in, not in the sense that we may infer, but it's a mystery cult because it has an initiation ritual. Like a Misthios is an initiated, it's not Cassandra of Sparta, and they would congregate in these underground chambers to actually have banquets. We have evidence of them using these chambers for ritual banqueting and drinking, eating, and performing religious rituals of initiation.
It's almost set up as a hall.
Yeah, it is a banquet hall.
It's a banquet hall. It's not just a temple or a ruin.
Exactly. And the focal point of the whole thing would be the statue of Mithras killing the bull. And Mithras is like an Oriental deity, and he's a sort of. So all mystery religions have to do with finding salvation after death, and this was for soldiers to have a sort of better afterlife after death. And they all would have basically the same plan and the same statue with the same iconography of Mithras slaying the bull with other symbols around. So this is an interesting detail. And the Mithraeus in London has actually been reconstructed. So if you go down there, you can actually see it. They would not have tombstones in it, but we'll give them a pass.
I feel like they have added a lot of this stuff over here specifically for the aesthetic. And
right.
Literally
once again, it's the aesthetic of the archaeological website, the archaeological site, right? You need to have the clutter, you need to have the things. Once again, if we are in the 1870s, this stuff would have been looted, Well, this is
a little supremic here with the in the name of Mithras, the last warrior, go forth and dominate, reclaim the world that is ours by will. But,
this is slightly spoilery.
We weren't supposed to read all of it. I feel that our statute of limitations on some minor plot spoilers might be okay. If I can find my way out of here again, I can bring us to the amphitheater now. If that's a strong if. Bravo's here. Hey, Bravo.
To draw attention here.
Hey everyone. Okay, so
I'm trying to get out of here without having to fight these guys again. I'm gonna.
Let's hope so. So this part, the Roman part of the game is very it's interesting and it's fun because Eivor doesn't understand what the hell is Octavian seeing in these things. But these are all things. Why would you like them? Why do you want them? And he talks about them as if he was in love with the artifacts, so he's a collector.
He talks about them as if they're magical pieces of art, and Eivor is completely and entirely confused on what this decrepit garbage is that he's so interested in. Eivor is not really one for museums or shiny hidden items. Especially when we have the scene where we talk about the hidden blade. Why would I hide something so beautiful and magnificent? No,
right, which is very Viking. It's very Viking of her because the Vikings were garish, It's
a very one of the very true Viking moments in the game. Why would I hide my honor and gloriousness?
Right, exactly. I did like that. With good piece of people who thought that she should become a hidden one, at least in the base game. We'll see for future DLCs. But that is a good contrast because Octavian is it's all about oh no, this past is great people, and they talk about the Roman giants that built these things in Britain. I mean, would they have had memory, collective memory of these things in England in the 870s? I would be, I'll be hard pressed to say yes. Because yes, you have ruins, but you don't necessarily know, you don't know, it's the Roman giants. They had an empire that, extended from here to there. If you can't read Latin, then you don't know that. And where would you read Latin if you're in the middle of nowhere in Shropshire. So
This is true.
question, question. Also, that is a Doric frieze. Once again, we have ancient, like archaic Greek temples in Roman Britain, which is not entirely accurate, and giant statues still standing. But the amphitheater is very cool.
This is going to be mostly. Is this another combat zone? No. Okay, we're good. We're good.
No.
It's another combat zone. I was like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do this.
We are done. We are done with the fighting. No, the amphitheater is cool. And I like that they left it like with a floor, like with a regular floor, with all the arches and things underneath. Because actually, like an amphitheater would be basically empty underneath, because you have a whole sort of arches and rooms and other things in which you keep beasts, gladiators, and whatnot, so you can bring them up with cranes. So for instance, like if you
particular one where there's an arrow competition, so it's another.
Oh yeah, exactly. So it's like if you
climb,
go up this beautiful
architecture. Every single column is cracked, just to remind you that it's old.
Yeah, it's old. It's ancient, right?
Ancient history.
Yeah, it's ancient history.
It's going to give us a pretty good view from here, if I can.
Therefore, it has to be in ruins.
Yeah. Give me a pretty good view from here. I'll leave this up for a sec so that everyone can see it properly.
Yeah, it is a really cool architecture. Once again, if you have that building and you need to rebuild the city around it, let me tell you, you will loot it. You will spoliate it, because 100%. Those are perfectly squared stone blocks, so why not using them, right?
Yeah. Use the tools that the world gives you, right?
Exactly. I mean, why not? And thank goodness some people reuse them, because we found some blocks, like some inscriptions, used as stepping stones, but they were face down, so the inscription is still working. So sometimes what is looting for some people is actually good for archaeologists. Weird.
Just a little bit.
Just a bit, but I mean, I understand. I also would assume that they reused many of the assets from the other Assassin's Creed games. Like the statues are the same that we see in Odyssey.
Yeah, if we look at the statues, they're actually almost identical in some instances, because they reuse some of their assets, which respectfully I understand.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Like I'm fine for reusing things. So, do you have? I mean, if people in the chat have questions and comments and everything else, let them flow, because
feel free, flow them through.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to chat and answer if we can, and if we can't, we have Google.
We do have Google. We can't always trust Google, but we do have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Next locale we are going to hit up is, while we're on the topic of architecture.
Yeah, all right.
I should have gone back to the other amphitheater while we're comparing amphitheaters.
Oh, that's okay. It's another amphitheater. All right, Wenonis. Right, so we are going to see some more Roman architecture that probably would have not been there. So if you go to this location in game, it's you are under the impression there's a big sanctuary here, right? Oh, because this is, once again, a Doric temple, a peripheral Doric temple, and there are other temples and pieces of other temples. The only temple that looks Roman is the one that is closed, the one that you're seeing now, with the bird, the one that still has the roof. That is a Roman temple. That actually looks like a Roman temple. Fun fact. It is, because it is a temple with no columns all around. It only has them in the front. It is on a podium, and it has closed on 3 sides. Roman temples would look like that, 100%.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what Greek mentality I'm climbing on over here, because we're having columns on all 4 sides, all intact. And no roof intended. I mean, it looks like there was a roof intended. If you look, there is a place for.
Yeah, there's timbers.
Yeah, there's plenty, but I still have some questionable choices on that front.
Yeah. No, it's like they dropped some Greek temples in Roman Britain, which it's fine. The Romans were inspired by Greek aesthetics to a certain extent, but Greek temples in Roman Britain, not so much. Ooh, well, these guys are gonna just passed by. Yeah, it looks ancient. TM from the chat. Yeah, that is very true. It's like, oh, it looks ancient enough. Like people will notice.
It looks ancient. TM. Love it.
Yeah, and all my archaeologist friends who played this game were like, Doric capitals?
Just a little bit. Just a taste.
Yeah. They had Corinthian capitals in Origin.
Let me just take out these guys real quick so we can explore the inside of this building.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, let's go into the podium temple. There's plenty of people.
Pig will survive. I don't harm animals.
Yeah, okay, that's good. We're fine with that. Well, nice shots. But yeah, so this is an interesting, like this I can buy. Like this is like reusing a temple that still has a roof to like do something in there, like live in it. Yes, if you're not worried about structural integrity after some hundreds of years, by all means do that. It is true that most people don't pay attention to details. This is from the chat. But we do. We are here to nitpick. And to enjoy.
That chest, but the chest over there is glistening from the sun right now, so we can't really see it.
Gasp.
All right.
All right. So, well, although, yeah.
This is what we got inside.
Yeah, it's like a reuse of like ancient architecture and other stuff. This looks like I can buy it. I mean, there should be like a small room at the back of the temple with this, like where the statue of the god would be. Also because in Roman times, people would not be allowed inside the temple. People would just go in front of the temple, and the priests would sacrifice in front of the temple, and then maybe go inside. But like common folks would not be, allowed inside because the temple is just mostly to show off. Not really to celebrate things inside. That's a big change with Christian churches. But yeah, this is like the one Roman temple that we find in all Roman Britain, and I am ecstatic that we
it looks pretty good too. It does look pretty good. The only other issue that I do have with some of the architecture in this game is if you look around, pretty much every single column in I say almost because I found other ones, but every single column in the entire game is pretty much the same style. Yeah.
Oh, Doric. Yeah. And from the chat, Sneaky saying, understand that Ubi was not wanting to redo a bunch of things, so they used what they already had.
Yeah, and like they did have to make this game in a non-desirable time to make video games, if we do recall.
Yeah.
So they kind of worked with what they had here.
Yeah, exactly. And like we're just having good fun here. This is not like, oh, Ubi should have used Corinthian columns. It's like, I mean, I don't care. Most people will know.
I mean, they should have, but I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. As an archaeologist, yes, they should have. As a gamer, I don't really, it's not really relevant to the game and to the game experience.
All right, where do we want to head to next?
I mean, do you want to do your favorite place?
Which is my favorite place? We can go to my favorite place.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna drop a spectacularly little spoiler alert here. And I'm so sorry about the spoiler alert, because if you have not played the game at this point, this may be something that will spoil part of the game for you. So fair warning, I will type it in the chat as well. I'm not going to put in major plot points, but spoiler alert. We are going to be going to Asgard now.
Gasp.
I know. I'm sorry. So the game does tie very closely into Vikings, obviously, and in turn, while we talk about Vikings, hold on, I'm going to try and pet this dog if it's not barking at something. Yes, pet the dog. So if we can talk about it very briefly, Asgard is very closely related to Vikings. Asgard is a Norse location. Is a mythological location observed by the gods, and we're gonna go visit it through a potion that gives you a vision of Asgard. So we're not like teleporting there by magic. We're going to be experiencing a vision that Eivor experiences, and the reason why Eivor experiences it is something that I'm not going to spoil because that is a major plot point of the game. So
the main reason why Eivor is experiencing these things is because she's drinking some weird tea. Anyways,
I meant to say this too. So you can see all sorts of practices around Valka's hut. like plenty of things that the longer you look, the more you see.
The more skulls you see.
The more skulls you see. There's skulls here. There's skulls here. There's skulls here. There's a corpse there. There's skulls here. Skulls here. Skulls here.
Human skulls. I mean,
skulls up there. Skulls over here.
Okay.
It's a lot of skulls. All right.
Okay.
We're gonna forego going to Jotunheim right now. We're gonna go to Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the skull collector at this point.
Yeah, that is vaguely, and also like the cauldron, like in a hut full of bones of a woman who lives alone, is full of cats and dresses in black with amulets. I mean, that screams like trope to me.
We get it. You like Valka.
Yes, I love her, but you know, I wish there was more emphasis on the religious role that a vulva had to play in a settlement like Ravensthorpe than not just, oh, she's the weird witchy person with the shrooms and the potions. Like, she would be the conduit between the settlement and the gods. She would be a priestess. She would be a midwife. She would be a healer, all sort of things. I'm kind of disappointed that they showed us a priestess, because that's her job, and then she doesn't do priestly stuff.
See, no, agreed. But at the same time, I will give them some credit, because it was like they were kind of in disarray before she got there. They're like, well, we can't do that. Valka's not here yet. We can't do that. Valka is not here yet. We're stuck. Valka's not here. And it was just like really nice to see. They're like, yes, you do rely on her.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, we would rely on her because like anything that happens, you need a doctor. I'm very biased here, and my friends know why, but like, yes, you need a doctor in the house or in the village because, you know, or someone that is like, that can read omens, because every time you have to go to battle, you need to read omens. And you just need to know if the gods are favorable for things. So yes, that is why it's in disarray, because you need a healer and you need someone who can interpret the will of the gods. The fact that she's interpreted it in her own way, and big spoilers, you know, whatever, is neither here nor there, because it's a game mechanics. But yes, I did like the fact that like they relied on her, and yet every time there's a religious festival, they don't rely on her. Okay. That's what baffles me.
So here I'm gonna discuss the landscape first. So we have the Northern Lights up top. We do have a pretty mythologically accurate Bifrost, which is the Rainbow Bridge. If you're a Marvel fan, you have the mispronunciation of Bifrost that they use in literally every outlet. This is the Rainbow Bridge of the gods. We have a world tree sort of design in the background. We have temples of Asgard, which we're going to go over and explore in a minute. And here's your little spoiler warning thing, but when you are visiting Asgard, Eivor becomes Havi, and you can learn more about that later. Not here, and I will not say it, and I'm not getting in trouble for that.
Yeah, but so like Asgard is one of the 9 realms. So in Norse mythology, the whole universe is built around a giant tree, the Yggdrasil tree. And on each, let's say on each floor, on each level, imagine it as an apartment complex. On each floor, there's a different ward. And Asgard is the realm of the Aesir, which are one of the clans of the gods. There are other clans, and I mean, if we have time, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, I'm just gonna beef up my armor real quick. Don't mind me.
Yeah, get it.
We're gonna put on all of Thor's gear because it's maintainable gear in the game.
Exactly. So the Aesir are an extremely belligerent and messed up clan of deities, and they, you know, they're always in trouble, but they are also all doomed. This is a big spoiler, but like if you've read anything in Norse mythology, you know that everyone is doomed. That the end of days will come, and some of the gods will eventually perish in this cosmic fight against other gods and monsters. But Asgard is this fantastic place with Roman arches, spoiler alert, and Norse architecture, all Roman statues. And I thought it was beautiful. So I think, sir, that at this time we should talk about the cultural mediation of mythology, because we wanted to get there. We've prepped for this.
We have.
Please tell us how you really feel.
I have opinions about this game on many fronts. So we have a lot of issues, just in general about the mythology sense of the game, and I'd like you to share your points first before I take hold of this whole conversation.
Okay, so as many people know, because I've been vocal about it, there has been some pushback against the mythological and inexplicable stuff in the recent Assassin's Creed games. So there has been, oh, it's too much mythology, it's too much supernatural stuff, like we need a sci-fi game with mind controlling apples. Yeah, sure. And we don't like all this mythology. Now, my take as an archaeologist and part-time anthropologist and gamer is that this was actually really well executed, because if you are a Viking in 873 or whatever year it is, maybe 890, yeah, and you are thrown into visions of, big spoiler, a past advanced civilization with tech suits, laser beams, and tall buildings, how is your brain going to process it? This has to be the realm of the gods. This has to be Asgard. You try to make sense of what you cannot make sense of with the knowledge that you have. And the one thing that can be used to explain what you cannot explain has to be supernatural, right? Because religion is integral part of these people's daily life. It's not just you go to the temple, you pray, and then, you're good for the day, right? So, and I think that all three new Assassin's Creed games were really good with this, because what we see is not what is actually happening in the Isu realm, but it's culturally processed through the mental limitations, I would say, of Eivor, who is, just a poor Norse woman who's trying to make sense of visions of which she cannot make sense, right? And I think that in Valhalla it's really well executed, and you can see that everyone is trying to make sense of it and fails, which is the thing that I really like, because even Valka, who's supposed to be, the all-knowing, wiser and everything else, doesn't know what is going on, and she thinks it's the realm of the gods, but actually it's not. But I think that, like, the cultural mediation in their brains is a fantastic way of ramming mythology.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
So I'm actually, I have a really, really deep-rooted perspective on this too, which I am going to say, and fight me, all of you, this will be controversial.
Oh my God.
Welcome to my TED Talk. So one of my biggest notes about Assassin's Creed that I've had issues with in the past few years is they do take this perspective of perceiving the gods or perceiving mythology and taking it to the, well, they must have not known things and had the technologies to understand what this is. It must be gods. That is this kind of warped mentality, if you will, that we see on certain historical television channels with certain outerworldly beings. And we have that same mentality where I can't fathom the ability of another person to have existed on this plane doing this particular thing. And because of that, it must not be these people. Pyramid's too big. Couldn't have been humans. There's a mentality of that goes around the world, and a mentality of that goes into popular culture as well. We look at, if you watch, the last time I remember this was explicitly stated in popular culture was actually in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the first Thor movie. Eric Selvig, the scientist, explains that it was very brief, and it could have been a deleted scene if I'm not mistaken. He explains that Thor isn't a god; he's from a different planet. But because of the fact that humans can't comprehend a human being that's so powerful, because he's not, he's for lack of another terminology, he's an alien or an other dimensional being. They can't fathom that reality. Therefore, he must be a god.
Right.
And we perceive that same thing in here. There's the Isu, the precursor civilization of people who lived before the first apocalypse. It's been a trending ideology through all of Assassin's Creed. It's been through since the very beginning, despite what anyone will tell you that they're going too much with that. It's been there since the start. We've been doing this since the very beginning. And that's with all these artifacts that shoot magic lasers out of them and everything. This is the precursor civilization. The only difference is that they did not create what we have now. They just helped the grand plan of the universe, yada yada yada. We're not going to go too much into that because I hate it, but that's this perception. So this perception of Asgard in the game is a potion that Eivor drinks, a tea that Eivor drinks. This is not what we totally perceive as actually occurring within the game. What's occurring within the game is that Eivor is witnessing visions of the Animus, visions of a precursor civilization, and this is the only way that her brain can use its imagination and conceptualize the existence of. So when we dwell too much on this, we're dwelling to a point where we're like kind of sort of endorsing the precursor civilizations, but at the same time we're using those precursor civilizations to explain mythology. We're using it to explore mythology. And if you had told me that I'd have a video game where I could run around and play in Asgard, I never would have believed you as a child. This sort of game, like seeing this perspective is unbelievable. Playing a game as Javi, and if you know anything about Norse mythology, you know who Javi is, and I'm not going to say it for you. You can draw those lines yourself. So playing a game as Javi and being able to see the world while you're in the world of Asgard, it's spectacular. This is a learning opportunity. We get to see the Fenris Wolf, we get to see Loki, we get to see Freya, we get to see all of these people who we hear about and who they conceptualize as being the gods. And that ability is one of the reasons why I think that the gaming and archaeology and anthropology, in this particular instance I'm referring to anthropology, cultural anthropology is a field that not everybody understands or knows. How many times a day do I have to explain to somebody what anthropology is because they heard that I like it? It's like they don't get it. They're like, it's like people, right? I'm like, yeah, it's people, culture, and everything in between. So being able to actually experience culture instead of just read about it, these games open up an entirely new world, literally, that we can access and we can teach with. Because subliminally, every single person that played through this entire story of this game, and you didn't realize you did until now, every single person actually heard real mythological stories that are followed and considered within Norse mythology. You learned actual tales that you may have not realized were tales. They were not written by Ubisoft. These things were written by the gods, if you will.
Inspired.
We'll use inspired for the sake of
inspired. Yes, as someone in the chat is pointing out that like sometimes it is another instance of infantilizing indigenous and prehistoric people, right? Because they didn't know what fire was, so clearly they thought it came from the gods, and like these indigenous people saw aliens and thought that they were gods. And I'm exactly thinking about the fourth Indiana Jones movie that never existed. But in this instance, it never existed. We never saw it.
Do you want to go to Jotunheim, or do you want to go somewhere else? And do you want to go to Norway? Is there any architecture in Norway that we can review, or no?
I don't think there's a lot of architecture, ancient architecture. Let's say it is. We can go to Jotunheim.
We can also go to Finland.
Oh, that's a big pickle. In which I would. Okay, I don't know. So Finland, yes.
Finland. There's a vote in the chat for Finland. We're going to Finland.
Yeah. Okay.
One person says that we're going. All right, continue your point. My
yeah,
apologies.
James said that. Okay. Well, no. I mean, I am in Finland right now. So spoiler alert. I will go and look for Viking tombs. That is. Yeah. That is another nice thing. It's a nice nod to an actual historical fact. The supposed expedition to Finland, the actual expedition to Finland would have taken place like half a century after this, I think, if I recall.
The timing on this was a bit iffy. That I had some issues with the timeline, but there also is some conversation about that for another day.
Yeah, but you can get out of that because like, oh, just because Eric the Red and his sons were the first to record that they reached Vinland, that doesn't mean that they were actually the first to reach it, right?
Yeah. That's
so as an archaeologist, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, yada yada. But also, like, they said that the Order of the Ancients are always ahead of the curve, so they know that. And, like, the Order of the Ancients would have kept it secret.
Yeah, well, this is some of the point where we're talking about historical anachronisms where we may not know about these orders and everything that they have in the game, but at the same time, we're allowing them to have their fictional creative freedom. Because without it, we're kind of riding on, do we really want to go that historically accurate that people begin criticizing the actual reality that we're portraying?
Yeah. But and I think that, like,
as we discussed in a previous session earlier today, that there's a lot of discussion about Ubisoft and reusing assets is one thing, but taking some serious creative points, it's going to happen when you're making a fictional video game.
Yeah. Oh, necessarily. But you have to bend the truth to fit the narrative, like slightly bend the truth, but also like it would make sense, like in game and in lore, that Eivor would not advertise the discovery of this new land because of in-game reasons and spoilery reasons, and also that the Order of the Ancients would not advertise this discovery because other reasons that we cannot spoil too much.
Other reasons, spoiler alerts. No talking.
Yeah, big. We're trying to avoid bigger spoilers, but like we've already spoiled that they go to Massachusetts. So
yeah, I've got to say, like, more than any area in it's arguable that so Norway is an area in the game where pretty much most of the players who played this game spent an extreme amount of time in Norway, and the developers had no idea what was going to happen. They were like, we thought you'd be there for like 4 hours, because that's what you do in the starting area. People spent over 4 weeks in Norway before even exploring England. So when we get into this area that is closer to the end of the game, you can get there about the middle of the game, but it's closer to the end of the game. This area is absolutely breathtaking. So if you're not familiar with Vinland is the area in North America where Vikings actually landed off in. It's the name they gave it, the area that they shared explorations with indigenous peoples, if you will. It's like a bald eagle. We're basically in the USA. So we're going to actually go in here. You're really going to test me if you ask me to name the...
no.
The indigenous peoples explored in this game are supposedly, if anyone's played Assassin's Creed 3, supposedly a tribe in relation to the tribe that Connor is actually a member of. So it is Haudenosaunee. We're going to see some longhouses here. These are actually pretty impressive. We went to the extent of having openings in the roof. I mean, the stupid part was putting the fire in the middle, but that's a different conversation.
But that's okay.
Yeah, that was somebody clicking in the wrong spot. So we don't have anything in these ones. These are going to be personal. But just the architecture on these is interesting. It's definitely an interesting take. It's something that Ubisoft did do in Assassin's Creed 3. They did have the larger longhouses that you could actually go inside and explore. There was only like 2 of them, but they existed. They did have them. If you see, I have an outfit that you can earn here that is supposed to look like it was made by the people who live here. So
it still has the damn shoulder pads, and I don't know which 1980s stylist they hired for this. Please, no more shoulder pads. Like, give us
shoulder pads. We're done with
streamlined capes or no capes at all.
But you can. I like Edna's. I like Edna from The Incredibles. We're gonna do no capes. We're gonna have tassels, but no capes, please.
Exactly. No capes. Anyway,
there is some beautiful coloration on this outfit, though, too. Some hides that are used in the creation of it. We still have this beautiful piece for the hidden blade on the arm here. It's just wonderfully garnished. Definitely not from any area in the game, but if you play the game, you'll know why it's not from any area in the game. The interesting thing about the indigenous peoples in this game, I'm not a fan of this. I don't want to talk about this. I refuse to buy this or put this on my character. It is a headdress, but
oh no,
we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. Those are things that we're going to leave out of the game. The people in this game, when you get to Vinland, none of them speak a language that Eivor can understand.
And Eivor asked them if anyone speaks English. I mean, Eivor, what the hell? Anyways.
Yeah, so Eivor doesn't understand why they don't speak a language that she's ever heard of, but she accepts it in the end and still is able to communicate, trade, and converse with them. You do a bunch of quests for these individuals, you talk to them frequently, and it's more hand gestures and discussions because she knows that she can't understand them by verbal communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's also like I think the final scene around the fire, in which she doesn't understand what is being narrated, and we also don't understand what is being narrated because there are no subtitles. Is nice because, you know, I mean, I did like that tidbit in which I was like, yeah, I don't understand what they're saying, but it's, you know, it's cool. I like the thing. And finally, and they also added, I think in one of the updates, the entry for the indigenous people was added into the codex encyclopedia or whatever it is. Yeah, it was, and it was like, oh, and they were like, yeah, tolerating like some of the Norse, but not really. Also because historically, the Norse could not settle in Finland because allegedly the locals were like beating them, like they were beating the living crap out of them.
I mean,
and so
didn't want them
sent
there,
them
which
away.
is totally reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, right? Yeah, so we have Finland, and then in the people,
here we go.
Have them. There
People
you
of
go.
the Longhouse is what they.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
They're sturdy folk who tolerated the Vikings up to a point, anyways.
Yeah.
Long established in North America, their ways would remain long after the Viking ways had come and gone. They acknowledged that the Vikings did not come to this area and wipe out any people in this particular setting. Don't look at my order sheet. But they give you a pretty substantial area here to explore. There's a few interesting areas that I'm not going to talk about because of the fact they'd be spoilers. Because of
spoilers. But yeah, did they use native speakers for this language part? Does anyone in the chat know that? I think Lori was talking about the interview that they did in the podcast.
I can't remember those, so someone have to verify my sources. Let's see. Does anyone have anything?
I was thinking. I think my chat is lagging a little.
They've reused some of the audio.
Okay, from AC3. Oh, okay. Well,
we're only asking our chat because some of the individuals in here are part of a very dedicated Assassin's Creed server. So,
yeah,
I trust their judgment because we've all talked about this very extensively.
Yeah, that's fair. As we said, no experts. I mean, although we know all the fun facts about the fancy pants that the Vikings were wearing. Yeah. Not these pants in particular.
The only other place I do want to go back to briefly is I want to travel back to England. And I do think if we're going to be here, we might as well discuss Big Stonehenge.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Or one of the henges at the very least.
Oh yeah, like many of the henges. I had no idea there were more henges.
Dealer's pick. Which henge do you want me to go to, and then tell me where it is? Because
ooh, okay. I mean, we could do Stonehenge because it's the most famous henge. To my great disgrace, I lived in England for 2 years and had no idea there were other henges, so that should tell you something. I was studying very hard. I was.
Which? No, that's not a henge. If I could remember this map at all, does anyone want to give me some heads up where Stonehenge is in this game?
I think it's
blow up with like 5 different people.
Yeah, someone guide us. Someone who knows archaeology guide us. In Wessex, there we go. Someone is saying the Stonehenge didn't last long due to the wolf population. That's very true. That's very true. Brickehenge was the deal.
That comment later.
Was the thing? Yeah.
Where are we going with this? I can't remember where it is. Someone's probably screaming in the chat right now because I'm not.
So it's closer to Winchester.
Is it really?
So I'm told.
Center, nearer to Winchester, left.
Left, okay.
Just close my eyes and
James, who is actually a British man, is yelling at you. It's northeast of Winchester.
Listen, I do not know. I haven't been in this game in so long.
Okay, wait. In Hamptonshire, so go all the way to the left. Oh my god.
All the way to the left. I'm going, okay?
Yeah, in Hamptonshire. Bottom left.
This is it. This is it. This is where I thought I was going in the first place. Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. Calm down. It's okay. We'll find it.
No, that's Wait. Do you still have the mystery to complete there? James is screaming at the screen right now.
No, I did the mystery thing, so.
Okay.
Where am I going? There. That way. That way. It's okay. You'll survive. We got this.
Somehow. Yeah, we couldn't drop too many pins.
If it makes you feel any better, I was having trouble playing this game for the last few months because of the fact that the game has had a few glitches, and I was just I had some issues playing it, and that was it. I'm not going to go into the details on why I maybe didn't endorse a few things for Ubisoft for a little bit.
Yeah, but that's okay. There was also like the standing stones with the bear sitting, like chilling. There's like a couple of standing stones, I think, in Gloucestershire. Where there's like a bear just chilling at the stones,
hanging out.
Yeah. Anyways,
right.
So let's talk about the stones and St. Brendan. Well,
I aggressively say that Stonehenge didn't have a roof. That's all. You can continue.
Yeah, that's it. No, I love that nod. So St. Brendan's legend is one of the earliest written down versions of the legend of this monk who literally went on a boat and sailed west and found islands and a new land, and then spread Christendom there. And for reasons, these islands were put on many Middle Age, Renaissance, and even early antiquity maps. I did like that in this iteration of Brendan's legend, the final stop is in Finland.
Yeah.
It is a nice nod because usually you would not have, the Americas in maps. So you would have the extreme west of maps. You usually have either the Fortunate Islands or Blessed Islands, which are from the pagan tradition. Or if you want to make it a little more Christian, you would put St. Brendan's Island. And many times you would have the little image of St. Brendan on his little boat with his little sail sailing towards those images. And this is there's a lot more to say about, fantastic islands to the west and why they stay there and why, and are they real? Are they not? But no historical record of islands of St. Brendan. If we found something, it might have been the Azores or the Canary Islands, which had already been discovered by Phoenicians and Carthaginians. But I did love the little nod from Valhalla to that story, because it was just genius. I did not expect it, and I was like, yes. I'm a map nerd. So I freaked out. I was like, yes, we gotta see the islands. And then it was Finland. I was like, that makes sense. It's in the extreme west.
Yeah, so the mysteries in this game do lead you to a few different of the henges. It's nice to see. It's funny because everyone always exemplifies Stonehenge, but realistically in this game, Stonehenge is not even the most beautiful of the henges. If I remembered where literally any of the other henges are, I'd bring you to one real quick, but that's going to be 45 me trying to search the map.
Yeah, I vaguely remember Seahenge being in a place full of seals, but if I had to tell you where, I think it was in Kent. But, people feel...
Now. I think this is it right here. We'll find out when someone screams at me in the chat.
Oh, yeah, it was on the coast because it's a Seahenge. So, James, where is Seahenge? James, come to us.
You're going to need an extra cuppa for this. Try a beer.
But I know I did like it, and I did like that they did not single out Stonehenge with druids or other things, which is modern day new agey thing. But they did not single it out, which is something I really appreciated.
I really, there's an entire obsession. I mean, I know we're talking about wonders of the world here, but like, there is an entire, like, it's not just recent, but an entire returning obsession with Stonehenge, and especially with this conversation of Stonehenge had a roof. We talked about this. I'm not naming the person. Here's the one with the bear.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. See,
look at this bad boy just sitting here,
just sitting. That absolute unit.
100%.
Yeah, look at that.
We have a more recent obsession with Stonehenge and the trend of conspiracies of Stonehenge had a roof, Stonehenge had to be a meeting place, is really an interesting perspective that it's coming back as another point of contention, because I don't know why that's one of the most targeted things that people want to talk about. Stonehenge was a zoo. Okay, listen.
Listen here.
Listen.
We're being serious scholars, you know?
Listen. The one running the chat.
Avoid.
Does this one have a note too?
I think it does. I think it does. It must. It must be like on the smallest one. Oh yeah.
Here in the ancient kingdom of Kent.
These all had like. I'm not even gonna go bother the bear. He seems happy over there.
No, he just sits. He chills. Yeah.
Right.
So Brendan is, well, he's talking about the Nephilim and the precursors.
Go get that other amphitheater real quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's gonna take 8 years to go across this river. I swear.
Okay. How are we doing in terms of time? Like,
I don't
how
know.
much
We're
time do
over
we...
an hour, but
yeah, we're
as long as we're done by 6, we're okay.
That's fine.
6 is.
That's
correct
okay.
me if I'm wrong. 6 is when we begin the next stream.
Right. The next excellent stream.
Where is my? Excuse me. Oh, here we go. I was really getting upset for a moment. This is my cat.
Right. Yes.
I really thought I lost my cat for a moment.
And
I got
my god!
Very upset.
Oh, no.
This is my cat. This is my launch cat. Okay, that was all. I just wanted everyone to know about my cat.
Beautiful. Yes. So let us mention the fact that yes, Vikings did have cats on boats, and like for as long as people had boats and cats in the same place, the two things would go together, because you need something to keep the vermin away and cheer up the people. And a cat who will not take, too many cuddles is perfect for that. And actually, there was a DNA study on cats, and you're gonna think that I drank the tea this time, that proved that like many strains of modern day cats actually are descendants from the cats that the Vikings basically brought on expeditions with them and disseminated through Europe. So, which I can buy. I buy that. Like, yeah. I'm fine with that.
So it's also worth mentioning too that we have a little Thor's goat here. It also is definitely worth mentioning that the Vikings did acknowledge Freya and her cats too. She would travel on a sled with cats pulling it.
Yeah, so, pulled by giant cats. Yeah, and we have the beautiful association between.
Should I take him out or let him be? What do you think?
I mean, can you assassinate them? Can you be very sneaky?
You can do it. I don't have
there
to be
go.
sneaky. I'll just stop right in front of him.
Oh, you just walk. They're like, hello, sir. Good morning.
Up, drop his warhammer and call it a day.
Yeah.
This is the other amphitheater that we were going to talk about before. So it's interesting enough that it's actually not identical, surprisingly enough. Despite every other used asset in this game.
Yeah, this is
not identical.
It is less round.
Yeah,
and it is
much less.
Yeah, and it has different sort of structures. This one looks to me more like a theater than an amphitheater. So yeah, this looks like it's like a theater for like performances, like for plays and other things, because it has like the oh my god, how do you call it, the platform on which you the actors stand, whatever, my English is failing, and the back of it, which is a very Roman thing. Yes, it is horseshoe shaped. Not the cat. Yes. The cat is not horseshoe shaped.
The cat is only horseshoe shaped when sitting on my longship.
That's very true. Yes, so this is a theater, like not amphitheater. And it is, it would work. Yes, kind of like, yes, exactly like a Greek theater from the chat, because this is a theater for shows and plays and not for fighting. Although you can fight in these, but yes, like in Delphi, like in Hierapolis, like in, many other places in the Mediterranean. And so that's the thing that a big Roman town would have. In smaller Roman towns, they would have had the same structures but built in wood. So once you don't need them anymore, you just take them down. You don't need a big stone theater for plays. And the first theaters were made of wood and like other perishable materials. So when we say theater, like don't necessarily think like monumental stuff. It's like, it can be a smaller thing, a more contained thing. Also because like these giant structures in England, like how many spectators could that amphitheater hold in Londinium, and like how many people would actually live in Londinium even at the height of its popularity during the Roman times. So it's slightly too big for like the population that would have been there, but but it is cool, and it is a good reminder that like performance had a big place in the life of the Romans, even when they lived in faraway provinces, because this was as far north as they would go.
The city of Jorvik is just really beautiful with the architecture. We have a whole mix of different styles of architecture here. I mean, we have this over here, which is the Norse people who live here.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be residing in this area over here, and then we have the rest of the city divided by the river. It's completely different style of architecture.
Yeah. So from the chat, like at this time, would Jorvik have been larger than Lumden? I mean, topographically, at this time, probably.
Yes.
Probably yes. In Roman times,
okay, the
probably
comparison.
not.
Yeah, in Roman times, probably not. But comparison in this time, this is
Yeah.
about the size of Jorvik, and I'm gonna move over to London without actually zooming in and out.
Yeah.
We have Ravensthorpe, and we have London. It's more spread out, but it's also much more ruins at this time, per the design of the game.
Yeah, and Jorvik was more settled by Norsemen. It was a trade center, whereas Lumden was as well, but it was smaller at this time. From what I remember from my medieval history, like if anyone in the chat is an expert, please correct me and tell me things. I'm always up for learning more.
Is there anywhere else you want to explore right now?
No, I don't think there are like places that you want to explore. Maybe an abbey, so we can touch upon the one thing that we talked about that we need to mention, but not dwell on.
All right.
Any abbey would do. Like if you hear Gregorian chants, there's going to be an abbey, or just sail past it or anything else. So this is like I understand why developers did that, but like. So when you work as a Viking, there are a few things that you do to earn money. You loot, you trade, or you enslave people, right?
Yeah. Well, there's another thing that we may not want to mention due to trigger warnings.
Yeah. Well, no, we're not mentioning that. But like, so in pop culture, somehow the Vikings have become being a Viking has become synonymous with making your fortune by looting and stealing, when actually in Europe they were equally known for being traders, because Viking ships had very shallow hulls, and so they could navigate through European rivers, and they would trade. Like they would set camp, they would trade with the locals, bring stuff from faraway lands. James is at it again. Thank you, James. We appreciate you. And so that's one of the things that they actually did a lot. They were not like brooding, dirty, smelly, unkept brutes, but actually very well kept traders. And I was kind of sad that we did not get to see that in Valhalla, but also
much more intellectual. We're not talking like writing novels and keeping libraries intellectual. We're talking like street smarts. Like we're talking like knowing your way around a place. And they do explore that briefly in a few different instances. For example, when Sigurd is going around, he is actually... Did I not clear this curse yet?
Oh, wow.
I found a new one. So when Sigurd is going around with Basim and he is exploring, they're very, very adept at making their way around places. And one minute they'll be here, another minute they'll be here. And it's unbelievable how well they get around until you realize you're using somebody from the Middle East and you're using somebody from Norway. And together, they're pretty much unstoppable at navigating the world.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that's also because like traders talk, and so traders would tell everyone and everyone else in the networks how to move through things, like which places were better, which harbors to avoid, and which harbors not to avoid. So that was like one of the things for which they were known, and the other one was unfortunately taking prisoners and selling them. Right, that's human beings as a commodity. So
no particular human being either.
The clergy.
We're talking about there is no one exempt from these slavery situations. These are not like taking a specific type of person. This is anybody and everybody they could sell.
Yeah, anyone would do. So there's the thing like and I understand why like they avoided this thing in Valhalla and kept the Norse word for enslaved person, which is thrall. I just would have, I don't know if I would have preferred like at least a little acknowledgement with that. But it's something that like I don't really appreciate a too polished version of the Vikings, just like I don't appreciate a version of the Vikings in which they are all brutes who drink blood and practice sorcery and open people up, right? There has to be
we did do a few instances where that was brought up, but that one person was considered a complete villain to the game at this point in the story. We got to the point where they're almost perceived as a villain because of what they're doing, where this is something that might not be even discussed in the game anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Also because we don't know if that really happened. Like, the only instances in which we have a description of a blood eagle were written centuries after the thing was allegedly performed. So once again, this black legend of the Vikings and their, dangerous and bloodthirsty religion, and then we're like, yeah, these things were written like 400 years after, like 300 years after. Like, does it sound like, is this actually true? Or is it like them actually making their ancestors into these very powerful and fearful people? So there's also
was it derived from other people who decided that they were going to blemish the names?
Exactly.
These are things that we may not even find out,
Exactly. No, but I like the first
somebody who
recorded
specializes in Norse mythology and
tell us the things
is going to come at me for this, but please feel free to properly educate me. If I don't know something, I'd love to learn.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was like the first recorded instance of like people going, a Viking is like when they sack a monastery and the monks were like, they burned our books. And I'm like, wait, I don't know if they like consistently went after the books and burned them. Like they probably set the whole place on fire, and they were like, yes, the books were
they burned everything. The books just happened to be there.
Excuse you, right? We will burn everything. We don't care about your books. We will burn everything. But then again, I mean, if you see someone run away with a book and then you open it and it's not precious, you're gonna be like, oh, what the hell? You throw it in a pile of, in a fire. I don't know. I've never looted a monastery, so I would not know.
I haven't either. I mean, except for right now where I might be. But that's not the conversational point that we're going after.
Yeah. No, exactly. So, wow, we're going to 1 hour 20 minutes. So
we are.
Yeah, so I think
we have a time limit. Where's Sarah? I don't know where she is.
I don't know. Is anyone like overseeing us here?
I think we kind of just own the world right now.
Good.
Kind of dangerous. I'm kind of okay with it.
Oh no, a mod.
Oh no, a wild mod appeared.
Oh God. Oh, wow.
Sarah's kind of over here just like, I like to make you guys think you have some control over things in life.
Okay, so yeah, they're very nicely, politely telling us to wrap up soon.
Yeah, we could wrap it up soon.
I swear, I just choked on my saliva.
All right, are you okay?
Mm-hmm. I'm fine, thank you. I drank some water. Okay, so this was delirious, and just as delirious as we hoped it would be. So
yeah, I was hoping that we could get a pretty good stream of consciousness thing going here.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you all for showing up and keeping the chat going with shenanigans and everything. Thank you, James, for telling us where things were.
Thank you for being our guide to England.
Exactly. Well, you know, ask the locals once again.
Always ask the locals. Anthropology 101.
That's very true. And yes, so all powerful mod, we are officially wrapping up very politely.
We're getting it done, I promise.
Exactly. So
we wouldn't want anyone
everyone.
to miss. We wouldn't want anyone to miss Goblin Town later. Is that all that's left today, or is there another? Well, no, there's another one, right?
Yeah, there's Mass Effect.
Mass Effect first, right? I almost
Yeah.
forgot. So tune in, please. I know a lot of people who are in this chat right now, and yeah, I'll find you because I know who you are. You're in the Sisterhood.
Exactly. We know everyone.
We know that you like Mass Effect. I truly and genuinely hope that we've turned you on to a new community here, and I genuinely hope that you guys have some interest that you can express. The next presentation should be on Mass Effect, and the one later will be the wonderful D&D show of Goblin Town. We're going to have a lot of fun here. I'm really glad everyone who turned out this year. I'm really glad we had the opportunity to have your ears for an hour and a half and let you into our world a little bit. So thank you so much for coming here, and thank you so much for letting us talk to you.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, Esso, for having me, for having me on board on this stream.
Oh, absolutely. If I was just out here by myself, we'd be having some real hysterical comedy going on. Be yelling at my maps all by myself without my map guide.
That's true. That would be a problem. All right. So